I'm joined now by Airline Technology Consultant Michael Planey to talk more about this. Welcome back to the show, Michael.
Thank you very much.
Here we are 2 years later, still not anything new, but Australian authorities say they're optimistic that something could be found in the next few months. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, the reason for their optimism is basic math. They identified a search grid. They're 3/4 of the way through it. They believe in the parameters that set that grid up. So for them, they're saying it must be in the area that hasn't been searched yet. I think that's the primary reason for their optimism. I don't know if I share 100% of that optimism or not. Your search grid is only as good as the input data that you had to start it. And right now, while we have data and it was verified, as we get closer to the end of that grid, it makes you start to question a little bit if you're actually looking in the right place.
Are you surprised, though, nothing more has been found other than these pieces that we think might be related to this crash just keep washing up in random places?
Everything about this from the moment the aircraft has disappeared has been surprising. I do think that people had thought there would be more wreckage found, more debris along the course of the past couple of years, but this is truly in the most remote ocean area that you could have to lose an aircraft. And so the fact that there hasn't been more debris found does not actually mean there isn't more debris out there. It's just in a very remote area. It may not have washed ashore. And if it is just sort of floating out in the middle of the ocean, it's not necessarily likely to be encountered by a passing ship or another aircraft.
As we just saw our correspondent report, all these families filing lawsuits by this deadline, hoping to gain answers more than anything. Do you think that could maybe push or compel authorities to do more to get those answers?
I don't think the lawsuits themselves are going to compel the Australian Investigative Board to do anything they haven't already done. They've spent nearly $150 million at this point. They have been searching an area that's 120,000 square kilometers. They have a number of resources that have been committed to this, and they have the backing of the Malaysian government. The Chinese government has contributed technology and financial assistance as well. I don't know what else could be done. I think when you get to the end of the search period, if the aircraft has not been found and there's no definitive answer, then you start to say, what can we do next? And that's wide open for debate right now. They'll have to go back and reassess. Did they miss anything? Is there more data? Did we overlook something? And where can we go from here? I think when you get to the end of the 2-year period, the end of the search period in July, I think that's when you'll start to see what is the next direction we can choose to take.
When this happened 2 years ago, hard to believe, many people were wondering, how could you not find anything with the technology we have today? You have tracking GPS on your cell phones even, so how could we not find this massive airplane and all the people that were on board? Where does technology stand now, 2 years later? Have there been any improvements at all, any advancements in the airline industry?
There have been some. The International Civil Aviation Organization, which is chartered by the UN, which governs global air transportation, put together some working groups right in the immediate aftermath of losing this aircraft. They also brought in the International Air Transport Association based in Geneva, the commercial side, the airline side. And they formed working groups and they started working on some new technology. Companies such as Inmarsat, who are a part of this search effort, have put forth some new technology that says we can help you track aircraft and we will do it free of charge to the airlines for some period of time. But there hasn't been actual progress. There have been a lot of talking, but they haven't established new guidelines. There are more studies underway, and I think a lot of people are rightfully concerned that 2 years have passed and we aren't actually making progress towards more complete global aircraft tracking since this aircraft was lost.
Cause of concern for many. Michael Planey, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate your perspective.
Thank you for having me.